Welcome to the Chicano Chronicles, and I'm your host, Emiliano Villa. Chicano, today we want to talk about politics. Today, the Chicano got zero power in politics. America thinks that our fight is immigration. It is not, although we are affiliated and through our familial association to the Mexican immigrant. That is not our issue. Our issues are teen pregnancy. Our issues are education. Our issues are gang violence. Our issues are drugs going into our inner cities. Our issues are employment, labor, being treated like human beings. The Chicano, the American and Mexican descent, the generational American to America, we're being treated like Mexican immigrants. And they can't ask us whether we're immigrants or we're Mexican or Chicano or American. So they just treat us like immigrants. We have no rights in terms of work. California is a right to work state. In other words, they could fire you because your hair's too black, because your skin's too brown, because when you smile, you don't smile white enough. They can fire you for anything. That's a slave culture. They can just wake up one day and they don't like Jose, the way he looks or smells or sounds, and he's fired for no reason at all. That was my life. That was my experience as a Chicano in America. Not once had I ever gotten paid my worth until I became a union worker. Then I was paid the same as every other man. But until then, I was the lowest on the totem pole. If I was the Chicano, the only Chicano there, very rarely the lowest experience. But I never got paid what I was worth. That's our plight as Chicanos. We got to change that. And the only way we're going to change that is through politics. We got to change the laws in California to show that this is not a slave state. Right now, we can't record without the other person agreeing to it. And how are they going to agree to be recorded when their intention is to lie their face off and tell us lies upon lies? If any of you have had experience with the unemployment system in California, talk to me about it. Tell me how many times they lied bold-faced to your face, gave you information that was completely false. So there's a lot of politics that we need to help us out, Chicano, to make us have quality of life so that we can live that life where we have a pursuit of happiness also. That doesn't exist for us as Chicanos, as Americans, not Mexican immigrants. Talking about American citizens, generational to this country. We're not allowed these rights. So we're not going to change that until we change the political landscape in our states, California, Texas, Arizona. And understand, Chicano, that in every state in this nation, there is now populations of upwards of 100,000 and more of Chicano, Mexicano, Latino, Hispanic, whatever you want to call yourself. We're viable in every state now. It's not just California no more. It's not just Texas. The white people in New Jersey, they're driving their vans to Mexico and picking up whole families to come over here and be their slaves. The meatpacking plants in Michigan and all these other places, they're driving to Mexico to pick up 14-year-olds and 16-year-olds and getting fined because a 16-year-old just got killed working in a meat plant in the graveyard shift. Un chavalo doing a grown man's work got killed working with chemicals. Wake up, Chicano. Wake up. This is who we are. So politics, plays a huge role in what we're trying to do. So let's get wise. Let's start understanding who we are. Let's start understanding the history of politics, Chicano politics that we're going through and we're having to experience. We have a Senator, Alex Padilla. You don't hear him. You don't see him. He hasn't done nothing. Where is he at? Who is he talking to? How come I don't see him on television? How come he's not talking about our plight? How come he's not making laws to move us forward? Undoing this at will, allowing us to record our conversations so that we can start showing people how we're lied to on a daily basis, giving us rights as human beings. When we're not working, we could go to the unemployment office and expect to be treated like a human being instead of lied to. When we get disability, we expect to go to get disability and get that disability because it's money that we put into it. Because we have no politicians that are going to fight for us today, they're running rampant. They're running roughshod over us. I went to a disability hearing a long time ago because I appealed it, right? Walked into that office, nada de puro Chicanos. Mexicanos, long time ago, fought an appeal for unemployment. Walked into that unemployment office for the appeals, nada de puro Chicanos, brown-skinned people. And we all looked at each other like, something's wrong here. Yeah, something's wrong here, people. In a state where we're 98%, we're being treated like slaves. We're being treated like a subculture. We're being treated like a 3/5 of a human being. But whose fault is it? Again, is it their fault or is it our fault? Should we start standing up? Do we need to be heard? Yeah, that's the truth. So let's talk politics. Today, African Americans comprise 13% of the American population. Chicanos, Latinos, Hispanics, Mexicans, whatever you want to call us, we comprise 17%. Let me say it one more time. Blacks, 13%. Brown people, 17%. Black people have had a president in the Oval Office. His name was Barack Obama, or as Mexicanos call him, the deporter-in-chief. Black people wield a substantial amount of political power in California, in Texas, all across the nation. Chicanos, name me 3 Chicano senators. Name me 3 Chicano congressmen. Where's the Chicanas at? How come we don't know any? How come we don't see anybody? Let's start demanding from our leaders. We have not learned to play the political game. Politics, my friends, Chicano, is the ability to take policies that hurt you the least while trying to create policies that help you the most. That's politics. I'll say it again. Politics are accepting something that will affect you the least, accepting it in spite of yourself and your kids, in exchange for policy that is going to substantially help you and your kids. That's politics. And we haven't learned to play that game yet. Amazingly, in the 60s, our leaders decided to form their own party. If you can imagine that, we've been irrelevant since the beginning of time. And so the Raza Unida party decided to make us even more irrelevant and create their own party. And now they sit in a dark corner somewhere in somebody's attic where nobody can see them, hear them, know they exist, yet they wield a lot of votes. And I don't know who, but somebody's paying them to sit in that closet. Somebody's paying them to take those Chicano votes and be irrelevant, be invisible. And we got to pull those votes away from them because they're ruining us. And any other political party that's tried to form for the raza. Let's be smarter. And we're going to discuss that strategy today. What we need to do in the states that we own, California, Texas, let's take the states over. And I don't mean in a mean way, right? But we got white people. Rusty Hicks, one of the most, in my opinion, one of the most racist white person that I've ever spoken to. And he's the leader of the California Democratic Party right now. Hung up on my face. When I told him he was going to hang up on me, I told him before our conversation started, Rusty, you're going to hang up on me because I seen him a mile away. And guess what he did? Because he didn't know how to talk to a Chicano. He doesn't know what to say other than treat us like gardeners. When he sees somebody like me, I'm washing his tires. When he sees somebody like me, I'm mowing his lawn. When he sees a Chicano like me, I'm cleaning his kids' diapers. That's why he doesn't see me as a human being and cannot talk to me as a human being. And that's why he felt so comfortable hanging up on me in California 2020. This was a while back, before he was the chairperson of the Democratic Party. Deborah Skurnick, the delegates that represent California, they despise Chicanos. But I invite each and every one of them. I invite Rusty Hicks. I invite Deborah Skurnick. I invite anybody that represents the Democratic Party to come on this show and invest in the Chicano community. Show us that they care about our vote. But let me tell you what's really happening today, Chicano. Wake up. Wake up. So this is the wake-up call. Today, politics in America is a white thing. It's white politicians saving white superiority, white power. And it's not just the Republicans. It's the capitulation of the Democratic Party. How do I know that? How do I see that, right? Well, like I told you, I can connect the dots in a lot of ways that other people can't. Why? For a lot of different reasons. Today, I'm not going to tell you those reasons, but believe me when I say that I see white people, I can identify with them. So when Latinos, Mexican immigrants are sitting at a Biden rally and they're asking him to help them with immigration, and you can look this up, and Vice President Joe Biden, running for president of the United States, turns his back on him. For the world to see, turns his back on the least of us, the least of Americans, those immigrants, those Mexican immigrants that are coming over and doing the jobs that we don't want to do. A la madre. And he turned his back on these people and he told them, maybe you should vote for Trump. Knowing damn well that they can't vote for Trump. It's a stab in that's them stabbing themselves in the heart. But Joe Biden, white America, turned its back on these people and told them to go vote for Trump. Who would do that in their right mind when we know that Latinos are going to be the vote in 2025? Oh, in 2050 we're going to be the. Why would you turn your back on if you know they're going to wield so much power? The Democratic Party is driving us to the Republican Party, people, because they're trying to save white power. They're trying to make the Republican or keep the Republican Party relevant when they've turned into the most masochistic, fascist, racist party back into, again, 1930, circa 1930 Germany. We have to start talking about the parallels between Nazi Germany and Nazi America, because the Nazis have been here since 1945, people. Operation Paperclip. We didn't judge all the Germans. We didn't judge all the Nazis. We brought the worst of them over here to live amongst us, to thrive amongst us. Those doctors that were creating drugs and diseases to combat. Those doctors that were creating rockets and spaceships to combat. We didn't judge them and hold them accountable. We put their picture on a piece of paper held by a paperclip, and we gave them full advantage of America. They are now full-blown citizens of this great country, right? Well, people look like me, that come over here in blood, sweat, and tears to work and do those jobs, are being treated like animals. So let's wake up to the reality. America's not the prom queen that it purports to be. And I'm not speaking out of box. I'm not saying nothing that's so amazing. You can look all this stuff up, people. America came clean. They fessed up to a lot of stuff they've done. So I'm not breaking news. Look up the Iran-Contra affair. Look up what we've done to Latin American countries. Nicaragua, El Salvador, all those Latin American countries. Look what we did to them. Educate yourself. So we know how this influx of immigration started, how it began, who created it. And we'll get into that more. But today we're talking politics. And yeah, you can sit here and say politics had a lot to do with that. But that's not where we're going today. We got an election coming up. And if the Chicano don't wake up, guess who the next Jew is going to be? Guess who the government's going to be coming and say, hey, get one suitcase and go to your local city hall so that your name can be put down on a list. You think we're past Nazi Germany and those tactics? You think we're past fascism? You'd see it developing right in front of our face. And you think you're out of reach? Understand, people, Jewish people, prior to 1939, 1940s, thought they were full-fledged Germans. They didn't consider themselves religious Jews. They considered themselves German citizens. They were generational to that country already. So understand how easy it is to become those people. And that fascism, it's knocking on our door. It's knocking on our front door. And guess who the first eviction is going to be? Guess who they're going to come after first? Wake up. In America 2024, there are more Chicanos in Texas. And this has been for some time already, but they're finally going to fess up to it. Revisionist history, mainstream media, the propaganda machines that are running the country, they finally couldn't hide it no more. The majority citizens in Texas are now brown people. And you still have a white governor that's cheating on his wife, cheating on his state. It's just a laughing stock. It's time to grab back our state, Chicano. It's time to take back what was ours. And I don't mean Mexico. I'm talking as American citizens here. So don't allow white people to misconstrue what I'm saying. Oh, Reconquista. I don't believe in Reconquista. And we'll get into that discussion later. It's nonsense. I'm not going to give back any states to Mexico. Tell me what that looks like. I'm not going to secede California back to Mexico. Tell me what that looks like. And if there are any American Californians, Texans, anybody, if you want to go back to Mexico, move back. It's right there for you. Mexico's right there for you. I love Mexico. And understand that's a conversation we need to have. Is the relationship between Chicanos and Mexicanos. That's big right now. So we'll have that conversation, but right now we're talking about Chicano. Right now we're talking about Americans of Mexican descent. People that have a foot in the game. If you're Mexican and Donald Trump gets elected to office and he starts asking everybody to get one suitcase and show up to the city hall, Mexicano, you think Mexicanos are going to show up? No, they're going to go back to Mexico. They're gone. This is not their problem. If you're an American and Mexican descent, you try to go to Mexico, Mexicans find out you did that, you're a pocho. You're Chicano. What does that look like? I'd like to find out, what does that look like? I know, but give me some stories, Chicano. Those people that live in Mexico, live in America, Chicano, that blurred line that exists between our cultures, which is the same culture. But what does that blurred line look like? I can't tell you. I can only give you my personal experience, right? But that's not what we're doing. I want to know what the reality is. So if you live in that blurred line, if you Chicano, you live in Mexico, if you're Mexican, you live in America, living in those two existences, I need to hear from you. But today, we're on the cusp of enormous circumstances that'll either make or break the Chicano. There are some bad things in the horizon, people, if we don't wake up. Why? Because white people are losing their power. If you're wondering why White people have gone batshit crazy. They're losing their power, and they know it. Now, do I believe that? Hell, you could have this whole country could be 5 brown people, 5 black people, 6 red people, 11 yellow people, and 2 white people. And those 2 white people will be president and vice president because indigenous people don't trust each other. And that is the fight. That is the fight. Not all this other malarkey. Indigenous people do not trust each other. They trust the white man more than they trust each other. And so this white myth that, oh my gosh, we're losing power. No, you're not. You go to a 98% Chicano city and you'll see a 98% white administration. Go to a 60, 70% southern state where 60, 70% of the population is black and you'll see a white governor. You'll see white people running that state still. Why? Because black people trust white people better than they trust black people. Brown people trust white people better than trust brown people. This is the reality of America. When indigenous people come to this country, unlike what the stigma, we become Americans. Strangely, indigenous people don't tend to vote color. They don't tend to vote community. They do look for the best candidate, unlike white people. White people look for the best candidate that's white. Now, black people, they're getting the picture. And now they're voting for the best candidate that's black. They're learning from their white, handlers. They're learning from the white system. They're learning from the white. So they're towing the line. What does that mean? What does toe the line? Well, toe the line means you vote your voting block, no matter whether you agree or not. When the consensus is made, we're going to vote for this candidate. Whether you wanted to vote for the other candidate, you toe the line, you vote for the party candidate. That's called toeing the line. Chicanos don't even know what the heck that looks like or means. So we got a lot of learning to do. We got a lot of evolving to do. We got to start looking at why we don't have no power at all, how 13% of America can elect a president to the Oval Office and 17% can't. Let's start having these conversations. But today we're going to have a guest on that's going to answer a lot of these questions. Today we're going to have a guest on that's going to be able to open our eyes into why we are where we're at. Why is the Chicano at the bottom rung of the societal ladder? He's going to be able to show us this. He's going to be able to take us there. And if he can't, then we have to make some decisions, Chicano. So today's intellectual revolution, today's revolution of the mind is going to teach us this. This is our homework assignment. Know who your senator is. Who's your senator? Who's your state senators? Who are your congressmen? Who represents your area? Who are your assembly people? Who are your council people? Who are the people that are making decisions that affect your children's lives, gente? Find out who they are. Look at their records. But we're going to help you do that. Don't think we're not. We're going to start breaking down the precincts across California, Texas, Nevada. So this is what I got to do today is another call. Chicano. This is volunteer people. Volunteer.chronicles@gmail.com. Put your name down. We need people to start doing some things, right? So what we need you to start doing is, first of all, we need you to start calling Rachel Maddow. Rachel Maddow. We need to start getting on television. We need to start getting on mainstream media because that's where we'll be seen and we'll be heard. They're not allowing us. Now, Fox News is not going to allow us 1 minute. They don't want us to even be, they don't want white people to even know that we exist. Although we're in every one of their households. Guess who's vacuuming their car? Guess who comes to their house every Friday and details their cars? Those are brown people. So they know who we are. They just don't want to give us a voice. They just don't want to acknowledge that we exist, right? America's new slave culture. But liberal media, progressive media, Rachel Maddow, they're supposed to be for us. They're supposed to represent us. We vote Democrat. Chicano overwhelmingly votes Democrat. Don't let nobody fool you. We're not voting Republican. Okay, Latinos are, but that's why I tell you, Latinos are not Chicano. Latinos are Puerto Ricans. Latinos are Cubans. Latinos are Dominican Republican. They're not gente. They're not people of the sun. They're not Mexica. They're not Aztec, Toltec, Olmec, Inca. That's us. We have to rally under those banners. And we'll talk about that more. But today, call Rachel Maddow. Send emails to Rachel Maddow. Send letters to Rachel Maddow. This is where you stand up, Chicano. This is what I'm telling you. This is what a movement is. This is what activism is. Activism is not staying at home. Activism is not just watching television. Activism is not just writing on your keyboard. That's what it's become today, and that's why the Chicanos have become America's new slave culture, because that's our activism. I call up Chicano professors and Chicano studies chairs and Centro CSO, a Chicano organization, supposedly. Where are you guys at? Where's the marches? Where's the activists? Oh, we're activists. Oh, we're activists. And you find out all they're doing is being paid by a political party, and they go and they activate once in a while and they stand up for a political candidate. That's activism in America today. And we're doing nothing with it. We're not achieving no goals. We're not addressing teen pregnancy. We're not addressing our educational system. We're not addressing our slave culture. We're not addressing none of that stuff. And we're not holding any of the politicians to account because nobody knows who we are. How do we become known? We go on Rachel Maddow. We go on liberal media, progressive media. They need to give us a voice. So Chicano, first job, first venture into activism, right? Call Rachel Maddow. Tell her that we need to hear Emiliano Villa. We need a Chicano to stand up and be heard. We need to hear what he has to say. We need somebody that's going to represent the Chicano culture, not the Mexican, not the Latino, not the Hispanic, the Chicano. We need to have that conversation. Today we find ourselves at a crossroad. Today we can continue to be irrelevant. We can continue to be propagated into not voting. We can continue to repeat the mantra of mañana, and I'm tired of it. Let's stand up today, ahora. Let's make things happen yesterday, not tomorrow, not mañana. There's a reckoning coming, Chicano. Whether that's a reckoning that we're going to give or we're going to get is now up to you. Wake up, Chicano. Wake up. This is Emiliano Villa with the Chicano Chronicles.